The property details page is where you enter all the details about your property. Things like its current value, how much rent it receives, expenses, its purchase price, etc. But the first detail you might like to edit is the street address of the property, in case you got it wrong when you first entered it on the Check Market page. You can change the street address by clicking on the address text as it appears in the heading. The heading will turn into an editable field ready for you to make your changes. You can use the Tab key on your keyboard to move between the fields. As soon as you leave a field that you've edited, the system automatically saves your changes. So you don't need to keep clicking on some save button. There isn't one. Each field has a label and an information icon to its right. If you click on the information icon or hover your mouse cursor over it, you'll see a one-liner tooltip appear. This may help clarify the meaning of the field. But if it doesn't, you can click on the More link in the tooltip. This will open a help page showing more detailed information about the field. This information includes things like exactly what the field is all about, what you have to enter, where you can find the information, typical values for the field, and how important the figure is to the overall assessment. You can get more help on how to use the property details page by clicking on this link. You'll notice a red asterisk to the right of some fields. This means you must provide a value for that field. If you try to proceed to the next phase of your analysis with one of these fields empty, you'll see an error message asking you to provide a value. Some of the fields are shaded grey. These are read-only fields. That means you can't edit them. The system will calculate the values for these fields automatically as you enter more details. Note that it might take the system a second or two to save your edits and recalculate new values for all these fields. But you don't have to refresh the page. The newly calculated values will automatically appear. Some fields will appear with orange warning icons. If you hover your mouse over these icons or click on them, a tooltip will appear containing a warning message. Now, you don't have to change your entered values to make these warning messages go away, but you should at least read warning messages since they may alert you to a mistake that you've made. You may see red error icons next to some fields. These errors have to be resolved before you can proceed to the next phase of your analysis. Note that some of the fields are indented. That means they're not all left aligned. Fields are indented to show how they are grouped. For example, the rental income per annum is calculated based on two dependent fields, the rent per week and the vacancy rate. As a bonus, the system also calculates the gross rental yield based on the rental income per annum and the current value of the property. All three of these fields are grouped under rental income per annum. You can collapse a section by clicking on the minus icon to the left of a group of fields. You might like to close sections as you complete them. This simplifies the page, it makes it easy to scroll to the top or bottom really quickly. Now, you can always expand a previously collapsed section by clicking on the plus sign, which will appear when you collapse a section. Some of the fields will be defaulted for you by the system. Some of the defaulted values come from data the system has on the market in which your property resides, for example, the vacancy rate. Other fields are just an estimate for typical expenses like property management fees. It's just meant to make it easier for you to fill in all the property details. You may need to review recent rental statements or loan statements to get information the system requires. You may need to fossick through old settlement statements from your solicitor to find purchase expenses. You may even need to consult with your accountant for some fields. But the effort will be worthwhile. The more detail you can provide, the more accurate your assessment will be. It might seem like a nuisance, but remember, you're making a decision worth potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars. Once you've entered values for all fields that require a value, you can proceed to the next phase. Click this button to continue. At this point, you may be required to make a payment. Assuming you have already made a payment, the next page shows a list of alternative markets you might consider buying in as a replacement for your existing property. This page of alternative markets will be explained in greater detail in another video in this series. Remember, you can get more help on how the property details page works by clicking on the More link at the top of the page. You might also find some gems on the frequently asked questions page. Okay, now you've got your head around data entry in the property details page, you might like to check out the video on the next page in the process, the alternative markets page. This is where the real power of seller hold can be seen.